Marty Spellman,
Present.
Kurt Morrison here, and wish if everybody could stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to make a motion to accept the minutes of the previous meeting and the special meeting with the fire department. Laura?
I'll second that.
A little bit of time for discussion after the second.
Go ahead, please.
I feel that as a board we ought to support the idea that when you vote no against an issue, that the reason why is captured in the minutes. I had tried to email Nick because when the minutes came through, I saw that I wanted to explain my no vote for the computer, and when I suggested that, she ran to the Township Association, Heidi, and said that Heidi is telling us that she doesn't have the authority to amend the minutes without a board's decision. However, the minutes aren't approved yet, so we don't really amend them at the point we're in the rough draft stage. You know what I'm talking about. So I would like the minutes from last month be amended to capture the reason why. And I think as each of us vote on these issues as we come across, that our no vote or yes vote may or may not need explained, and that we deserve to at least have that captured in the minutes on.
And that doesn't happen every time, and I don't think that I've ever asked the minutes to be amended to reflect our opinion or something. But I don't believe that the whole content wasn't discussed in the public.
No, it has to be, absolutely, it must be stated in the public meeting. I stated why I didn't vote for the computer. I said it was premature. I said we hadn't done all of our research, and that I wanted, I said there weren't enough details given on the processing speed, the memory on the new computer. Furthermore, I stated that the package deal for the trustees and maintenance man should have been looked into first before we just went out and bought a single computer for the zoning office. So I wanted to add those comments that I made in that public meeting. I think we deserve to explain our no votes and why we vote the way we do.
And have we done that in the past?
It should be captured. Did I not say? Did I not say those things in the last meeting?
No, you had to read it. I don't remember all of that. I do remember that you felt it was premature. I felt you believed it needed more study. That's fine.
Okay, well that needs to be captured. That's what I'm suggesting. I mean,
There'd be a lot of things I need captured too, Laura.
when it comes to a specific vote on a specific issue, if you vote no and the rest of the board votes yes, or you vote yes and the rest of the board votes no, there should be clarification to what your thought process was. It's fundamental. It's just so simple. I mean, and if we're not allowed to explain the way we vote, and that doesn't get captured in the minutes, how does somebody that's looking at what goes on in our township understand what your position might be and why?
And I didn't talk to Heidi about this opinion, and I certainly would like to do that myself about that.
Heidi,
I'm part of it.
Listen, Heidi has no bearing other than to provide the guidance, okay? This board can say, you're going to approve the minutes, or we can amend them because she's got them typed up. Actually, it wouldn't be called an amendment or amending the minutes until they're approved. That's what I believe that it would work. If they're approved and you need to amend the minutes, then we can do that. But I'm just saying, as a policy, we should support each other explaining our votes and why we do what we do, so that the people who elected us understand why we voted the way we did. That's it.
Okay, do you want to entertain a motion that we can shelve this till Artie does a little bit more research and take it up for further meeting? I don't really understand all the legalities of this, so I'm not, I approve the minutes that Nip had taken.
We haven't approved the minutes that Nick takes. We're trying to do that right now. We have a motion on the floor. We have a second to that motion. And what I'm saying is I'm not going to vote for these minutes because it doesn't adequately capture what why I voted no. I want that captured. My thought process should be captured, as well as yours, as well as yours. It's so simple.
Yeah. What's the challenge of catching somebody's thought processes?
The discussion items don't always need to be...
You're taking notes. What's the challenge of catching somebody's
Attorney
thought process?
Fenimore told Mary Ann Stack that the only thing they have to put in the minutes is the motions and resolutions. You don't have to put in he said, she said, and discussion items.
I agree. Items that are
And
discussed.
those are the fiscal officer's minutes. Those are as I see them. I don't say Kurt Morrison smiled when he read that motion. I don't say those things.
We're not talking about a smile. We're not talking about discussion topics.
No.
We're talking about a vote and explaining the vote.
Well, I go with Heidi. She says, unless you amend it, you have a first and a second. And the vote would be followed. If you want to amend that, then you make the motion to amend it. That's the way I see it.
Well, I won't approve the minutes from last month because it doesn't
Well,
adequately
Artie didn't
represent.
approve them from last month because he didn't approve of you adding to them.
I did not add to them. I clarified what was said.
True, true.
That was a thought
But
process, and you
that's-
clarified that it wasn't here, didn't get captured here, didn't get written here.
No.
And there's some that I voted no, that I haven't taken an opportunity to do those things.
Okay.
Okay, we'll take a vote now to approve the minutes. Laura?
No.
Artie?
Yes.
Kurt, yes? No. So, they've been approved. You may approve.
I don't further research.
And Artie, do some more research and we'll discuss it at a later time. We're going to do the reports of the officers.
We didn't approve the second special meeting.
So it's all in one motion.
I did all in one motion.
Well, actually, you shouldn't do it all in one motion because I'll vote for the second meeting.
Okay, let's rescind that last vote, and I'll vote on the minutes for the previous monthly meeting from the trustees.
June 8th.
Special meeting.
No, we're doing the regular meeting now.
He's doing it over.
I'm voting over, because I packaged them both together. I'm going to vote them separately. June 8th trustees meeting. Do you accept the minutes, Laura?
No.
I seconded
Okay.
it.
Okay. And then Artie, do you vote for the minutes as they are written? And I voted for them. Okay, now the special meeting with the fire department. Laura, do you approve the meetings, the minutes from the meetings as written?
Yes.
Okay, Artie?
I'll second that, yes.
And then you seconded it and then voted for it, and I approve the meeting from the special meeting minutes. We're going to move on to the reports of the officers. We'll start out with Chris Stanislaw, maintenance.
Yes, sir. The pavilion back here had a new roof put on July 9th by Allen and Sons. There's a 30-year guarantee on the shingle. They did a beautiful job. All the graves were worked up at the cemetery and seeded and strawed. I had one internment today. I also have one on Friday. That's been pretty good this month. All the township roads we went through and did do the potholes, filled those. The recycling bins have been a little bit of an issue as far as the size that we've been getting. Right now we have a large size for the plastics and metals. For instance, July 4th I had it pulled on a Monday and again on July 8th. We made 4 days with a smaller bin, so luckily we've gotten a bigger bin lately already. I have talked to them twice now about trying to keep them on the pads. Again was today when I called. The issue, we're trying to keep both bins on the cement pad, which is correct, but the drivers drop one, take one.
We
Switch them out.
obtained a $6,000 grant for that purpose to put them on a concrete area.
Yeah.
And we went through a lot of hoops to get that, and the green team was really good at knowing that. We wanted to put it there so they don't hurt the parking lot.
What the issue is, there's so many drivers, and they're picking up and things, so I did contact them again about that, trying to keep that in one spot. Did the inventory of the signs, and I just want to bring this up and put this on the table. We had talked, we need 9 stop signs. This is an item that has to be done, the next few years. It's a reflectivity item for all signs in townships and, all over the country. We're fortunate we don't have that many. I do have a count, it's not with me here. We only have 9 stop signs in the township. They're mandatory, and we have to get on board and at least have a plan. My thought, Mr. Morrison, is if I get the stop signs done, which would be the most important, we want a plan. Maybe our plan is we bulldoze. It's $414 for those 9 signs. We had talked about waiting for all the townships, counties, and everybody to get together to do buying, but the price of $414, if I can get them even done this month or next month, would be a plus, and we'd be up on everybody else. Our signs are not in bad shape, but this is government.
Yeah. Okay. When we went to the meeting,
Yes, sir.
When we went to the meeting in January, when we talked with the county engineers, they said that there was a plan. We have to change all our signs, but there was a test you could do for reflectiveness.
Yes.
And if we could pass that reflective test, we don't have to change the signs. But they were going to have a meeting, and they were going to notify us, and you were going to be part of that meeting. And if this year, the big thing is if we just have to have a plan in place before the end of the year. But until we were included in that meeting with the county engineers, I'm not ready to take any action yet.
Okay.
So
the reason I even brought it up was we talked about their idea of a reflectivity.
Yeah.
So all right, so that's fine. Good deal. I was talking to Chief the other day. We did have a small problem over here with the boiler. There was a small leak. Enough came out. What it was the return lines from all the building go back, drops down to 15 pounds. Of course, there's a valve in there that does this. Then there's a blow-off valve that in case it doesn't work properly, it blows the top and all the water and pressure come out of there. Very small item, very small fix. It just failed. And the only thing I'm just bringing it up now is for future planning of these units. They've actually, from what I've been told, outlived their livelihoods already. And it doesn't have to be done now, but it's just like anything else. I would like to bring this out as proactive.
how many of the valves are in the system?
It's not the valve, sir. It's the whole system. It's outlived its life, and I'm afraid that we won't be prepared. Doesn't need to be replaced now. It could be a 5-year deal. It could be, I just want to bring this to your attention. That's all. That we maybe start looking at what our future is to replace these units, because it's just like anything else, like a person or a car. It's going to go sometime, and I just don't want to get.
Then what if you're asking for it, Kurt? Why don't we get an expert's opinion on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we can come back to us to say what the life expectancy is. Might need a little help. I know somebody helped us a whole lot more than what we have right now.
Yeah. Just an item for discussion on the table for future use, so we don't get hit and be a lack of my responsibility.
Okay. And then, how's the progress with the roof coming on the...
Oh, yes. The roof at the town hall has been fixed. The items, we had to order additional items for the gutters, and they were sent out Wednesday. No, they were sent out Monday, UPS. They're a very specialty item because we're dealing with copper gutter. They probably won't be in until Friday or Monday, but as soon as we get them in, the gutter will be finished. It's the hangers for the actual gutter. So those are in process. He could have done the gutter today, or I'm sorry, tomorrow, if the parts were here, but they didn't make it. So that's where we stand on that. But the shingles have been replaced, so the roof has been fixed. And the other item was the Armstrong. We were going to run Armstrong telephone system over in this building, I think, for Mr. Durkin, and the fire department has the same number that I have. The issue we ran into is the wire runs to the pole, comes in here, splits out there, runs to another pole and comes in. They don't do that. They even had their tech guy out here to look at it. And it's basically the same situation we ran into last time with the cable for the internet, for the sheriff's department. They need to run a separate line. They can combine two lines from one building to the other, but it has to have a separate line. So we're back to square one where we don't really have a way to get that line there. That's why we separated so the guy says, you know, you can do it, but it's going to cost. So I talked to Trustee Lewis, and the cost doesn't really justify what we would have to do to get the savings. So we're at a stand. So we're just back where we were, which is fine. I mean, we just have the landlines, which we have to keep anyhow for fire and emergency.
Yeah, we tried saving.
Yeah, we did try, so that's where we stand with that. And that's really all I had at this time. Summer help has worked out dramatic. It's just been great. Claire down the road here and Matt, very good kids. We got a bunch of great kids out this way. I don't know. So sometimes we forget how good we have it. So that's all.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on with the...
Mr. Chairman, before we move on from topic to topic, let me check with the board to make sure we've all had everything said we need to say. I wanted to hit the road sealant here. I did talk with Berlin Center last meeting. I said that I would call them. I think there needs to be a plan in place because we didn't seal West Hill, that development up there last year. Talking to Jody Kalen, I think they'd be open to something, but they wanted to have a meeting with our board so that we all understood and we're on the same page versus what happened last year and didn't really understand how many man hours and who was going to trade what and that kind of thing. So that would be going forward if we wanted to do that, or we could sub it out to somebody and provide the material. So, Artie, if you want to follow up on that,
Okay, if they want to meet with all three of us, I believe we'd have to put a notification in the paper and have a special meeting.
Yes, they would.
Yeah, so that's something we have to consider. Maybe if Mr. Spellman could discuss it.
Well, and I think they want us to go there. They don't want to have us schedule a special meeting and come here.
Okay, if we go there, can we go as one representative and have a private citizen?
Excuse me. I just said they want to talk to the board,
Okay.
not one person like they did last year. Okay? They want to sit down and talk with all of us so that we're all on the same page and formulate a plan that we all understand.
Okay, so we'll have to have a special meeting and meet at their township hall at that time.
You can ask them if they have room at a meeting, and then we would put it in the paper.
Okay.
That it would be a special meeting.
Okay. Artie, do you want to contact them? And if we have to do that, we'll do that.
And Trustee Spellman, I did call to talk to Jody like the day after. And that's pretty well what she told me, too.
Okay. Is there any other discussion on the maintenance?
You know, one thing, if we're talking about we need an expert's opinion on this boiler, I think July is really hot, but before we know it, we may need that opinion sooner than later.
Yeah.
But the information Kurt gave us, I think we better entertain a thought or further discussion about if we would need
So it would be something that could appraise our system, you know.
That's what I was wondering. Who would be
we go into a larger mechanical.
mechanical engineer company?
Yeah.
And usually I don't pull a person in the audience in, but you know, Brian was very instrumental with routing and what we did here and modifications of the systems we made to the old part, right, Brian? And Western Reserve Mechanical Contractors was the contractor at the time.
Yeah, the boiler system, I've looked at it in the past.
So your company had that expertise?
It's life expectancy is 25 to 30 years. I don't know how it is.
And now my suggestion, since they did the retrofit to that, you know, it's just two separate components.
How old is this building? Does anyone know?
71.
That's right, they...
Yeah, we're 40 years old.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're 30 years is still good. That boiler is getting old. It's efficient, non-efficient.
What we found at the time with Brian, they ran all the utilities and the piping under the concrete, and the concrete worked on that, and we had leaks coming up everywhere anyway. So we ran it overhead, and you can't tell. So if we want to more than just entertain a thought here, we can seek 2 companies or 3 companies who would be interested in coming out and doing an evaluation. What do you think?
Kurt, could you contact
On that, I'll contact your company.
Yeah, I can get your contact.
Okay, great, and then we'll work on a couple others.
see what the evaluation costs
Yeah,
are?
just come out and look and see what we got.
I just wonder have they done it yet? No problem. It's all done yearly. I don't know when they're going to do
Done with the maintenance?
We're not allowed.
We'll move on to the fiscal officer. Nick West, could you please give your...
Okay, our bank balance this afternoon was $497,555.30. That's all I have.
Okay. Any questions on that? Thank you. We'll move on to zoning with Rick Durkin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In reading the report for July 13th, the trustees meeting, I think we have 12 items for tonight. The zoning report goes as follows. There were 23 phone calls received and returned through the zoning office. There were 8 permit applications that were reviewed. 6 were approved and granted as permits. 2 temporary sign permits were also issued in that group. Received plans with the zoning commission relative to a proposed new deck in our PUD at Deal Lake. Also attended commission meetings and workshops when requested. And number 6, there was a legal question discussed with Mahoning County Prosecutor's Office that was relative to the internet cafes. Spoke with 2 of those legal representatives this month and had 2 conversations. Number 7, met with attorney Mark Fenimore with the trustees' approval, and he has offered a legal opinion regarding the Leiden zoning complaint. And number 8, for a little brevity, still looking for the hubcap I lost somewhere in the township. If anybody sees it, it's a Buick Rendezvous hubcap. Number 9, we received roughly 10 verbal requests ranging from this one from fences, some problems with some septic, believe it or not, some pole buildings. We had an issue back again on chickens and roosters, which I understand as of 4 o'clock was resolved again, and a number of barns and decks this month also. Number 10, had a number, there were 2 residents that had some issues that were going on right now. I'll be meeting with them tonight. They're on sensitive time construction schedules. We know we're in the construction season right now, obviously with a wet May. Number 11 has to do with our computer update. Had dialogue with Jake and Gwen in the IT department down in Mahoning County relative to the purchase of a Dell computer. They have all the specific information relative to what that computer is about. What they have assured me, that it'll come under the state purchasing price, which is the lowest allowed by state government. And the 12th, I met with boardman officials last week relative to issues they have with internet cafes and had a lengthy discussion with the people in Austintown and their officials relative to the same matter.
Rick, on the computer update, when are we going to take possession of the computer?
Well, one of the issues that came up, that I want to run this past the board, at the workshop of the zoning commission, one of the questions that arrived by the commission members had to do with the difference of having a PC type where it would be in the office versus a laptop that could be actually used here at the same time during a commission meeting, and or if the ability was there for the zoning appeals board. So when I sent the information down to the county, I gave both options for the pricing to see what that difference would be. And again, without being a computer expert, I wanted to make sure through the router type system what we had here, how it was wired, what we'd be able to do. So that question is with them right now.
Okay, then you'll get back with us on, or which,
That's my number one priority right now that I'm working with.
okay.
Yes.
And then you'll get back with us with cost.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. And if I could, to the chairman, I believe there was a dollar amount that we had. I want to stay well beneath that dollar amount that was mentioned at the last meeting.
Okay.
$1,500.
Thank you. And when I spoke with Jake, who is the IT director, he had no problem with where we would be with that number, especially with the state purchasing price that Mahoning County qualifies for. And since we're in a group buy as a township, we qualify for that also.
Okay. Okay, we'll wait for your report then. Thank you, Rick.
About this matter on the zoning meeting.
I was going to bring that up. I have that later.
One second.
Okay, Laura.
Are you taking comments?
No, we're going to take comments later with the good and order. It's a hot night tonight. And
Well, I didn't know whether Rick had to leave or not, because lately he's been leaving before the meeting's over.
you can, he has office hours on both Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you can call him. If you want.
Yeah, but I think this is kind of general information, the question I have for Rick, that everybody else would like to know, that we could share. Basically, all I want to know is the consensus about these cafes. He spoke with the prosecutor and other townships.
We'll allow that. If I could,
Okay,
through the
thank you.
chair, could I take Larry's question?
Sure.
Larry? Go ahead.
That's all I want to know. What's the
Okay.
consensus with the prosecutor and other townships?
I can tell you what I know right now without having it back in writing from the prosecutor's office. This board sent 2 questions, okay, in its letter to Paul Gaines. First question, under the Ohio law as it stands right now, are internet cafes legal? Second question, if they are viewed as legal, does a township have its power to have a permitted fee on each terminal? Now, I'll say this to you that I can talk about. Since we sent that letter to the prosecutor, 2 other townships have done the same letter we did. So obviously they have a pretty good ear to what's going on in the association. I followed this very closely online. If you look at the 2-year budget passed by the state of Ohio, they did not address this issue. We were under the opinion they would. Sometime back in May we heard that. They let that answer kind of go. There's nothing really in the 2-year state budget that addresses this. But we know one thing that's happened. The Ohio legislature has put a new gaming commission in place. One of its quests is dealing with internet cafes. Now, I can share one other thing with you without any problem of lawyer-client privilege. The one thing I can share, there are 14 in Boardman, there are 12 in Austintown. Not everyone who applies has been approved. There's been a series of issues, and what they have chose to do in these townships, when the applications are on file, they go through the Zoning Board of Appeals, and they're under conditional use classification. I had the opportunity to speak to a Board of Zoning Appeals member of Boardman, Attorney John Schultz, and he's very opinionated, if you will, Larry, in a lot of things. There's things he likes and there's things he doesn't like. And all you have to do is ask him. And that took a 20-minute phone conversation for me to get to that point. One thing he shared with me, if they're in a residential area, he only can speak for himself, not for his board. He doesn't like them in a residential environment. They also put in terms and conditions. They have to open at 8 o'clock, no earlier. They have to shut down by midnight, no later. Their windows have to be clear access. So if anybody from the fire department is going by, sheriff's department, any local community, you can see right through. So there's no obstruction in case there was some sort of incident going on of any kind. Other issue they put on through the Zoning Appeals Board. They'll limit it to, say, 25 terminals. I can give you an example. A prominent developer in Mahoning County named Chuck Whitman. He applied for 4 with his plazas. They wanted 100 terminals in each location. He got 25. He was there representing his client, if you will, tenant, and asked, well, when can we get 75? And Attorney Schultz said, let's try the first 25 first. Let's see how they go. Let's see how the township is getting along with the situation, and then we'll revisit it later. The lawyer representing Mr. Whitman said, so you mean to tell me each time that we're going to make this request, we have to come back in front of the Zoning Appeals Board? And what John said to me, what he commented, the person was smarter than he thought by his answer, that he listened pretty well. In other words, they're not lock, stock, and barrel the way they're going to approve them. They're going to approve them by conditional use. And that's the only thing in place right now currently that I can see in the law. We are waiting back the response from Prosecutor Gaines.
Okay, but to follow up then, when you say when they approve them, number one, these are state regulated, county regulated, and we as a township, what say-so do we have?
Through the chairman,
Please.
that's the ambiguity, Larry, that's going on right now. Whose purview are they under? In Trumbull County, they're not allowed at all. That this is what's so crazy about this situation. 87 counties, some way or another, they're allowed. Trumbull, they're not. That sheriff, that prosecutor, has shut them down at every attempt when they've opened. Now, again, there's litigation going on. So that took me, if I could, through the chair, to my next question to Attorney Schultz. When you've turned down someone, have they gone through common pleas court? And he had a kind of a belly laugh, if you will, and he said, Rick, there's so many places they could go and other places. They don't want to take a 50-50 shot at the Court of Common Pleas when they can already be open in Youngstown. I mean, Youngstown has welcomed them with open arms, also put a permitted fee per terminal. Salem is looking at that also. I pulled that up and also looked at that also. But I don't mean to give you a bit of a non-answer, Larry. I don't think they understand where things are in this right now. But however, we are waiting for, in writing, the letter back from Mahoning County Prosecutor Paul Gaines.
Okay, then as a last result, us as a township, what limits do we have, if any, to either allow them to come or not allow them to come?
If I could, through the chair, we would have the same zoning appeals board apparatus, if you will, that Boardman and Austintown has. I don't want to speak for the zoning appeals board because I never will. However, they're a separate entity. One of the options they could possibly look at would be the conditional use, as Boardman has done and Austintown has done. And again, I'm sure they're going to base their decision on law, on fact. Okay? But again, what this trustee board asked me to do is have the ability to speak to the prosecutor's office, which I have. It's kind of ironic that after we sent it, two other much larger townships than we sent the same letter. Not exactly the same letter, but they asked two questions. They asked them pretty much verbatim to what we asked. Again, if they are legal, that's one thing I believe the appeals board would look at. The second factor being, if that first question is answered, what can the township derive, if you will, from a permitted view of how much could it make? Now, township law is different than village law, city law, because home rule charter and a whole bunch of other issues. But that's why we sent that to Prosecutor Gaines.
Okay, very good. Thank you for your presentation. I'm sure the whole group got educated.
Thank you.
Any questions from the board?
Yes. Rick, getting back to the computer, I'm just curious, what do you intend to buy, or how have you worked with the county and going forward?
Okay. I'm going to be very open and very blunt, Laura, when I say this to you. I'm not Bill Gates. Okay? And what I did, the most research that I did in looking for what would be the best application for me personally as a zoning office, my wife did a whole lot of that research through her IT department. So a few things that I was able to write down, I was able to go online, look at what Dell has to offer. Now, as you pivot and you get other ideas and suggestions at the same time, when I spoke with the commission at the workshop the last meeting, that's the first time that ever came into the mix that, would it be possible to have a desk type right here, again, and correct me if I'm wrong, with a router type system, wireless, whatever, are we retrofitted here to be able to handle it where?
Do we have a hard line in your attorney office? We do. I thought we do, and we have one here, right?
Right.
Okay.
So, I guess to say frugal, if you will, to be cost effective at the same time, would the specifications be altered a bit from what I initially turned in to satisfy more than less? And I'm trying to give the best answer that I
And I
can.
didn't think of the zoning.
What I'm trying to figure out is what, you talked about last meeting, having Zone Pro software, okay? We need a system that obviously is going to support that. There are many modules to Zone Pro software.
Right.
You know, so, and then, you know, it went back and forth in emails a little bit, and I know that Kurt Morrison and you asked Lorelai to do some specking out of it, which is good. I mean, she sent back some specs, but I was curious whether we're using those specs, or what are we shooting for? What, because, you know, when I brought this up last year, and when we looked into buying computers, where we left off, which is where we should go back to when we have an issue, where we left off was Margaret Drummond had brought up the fact that you ought to go buy them as a part of the government purchasing program through Dell. And so that is where we left off. I never pursued it because the thought was that, you know, I know you're not Bill Gates, but, you know, the fact of, you know, there needs to be a training program of some kind because I know you're not very computer literate. So you know, making that investment is great. I'm all for that, but I need to know and would have liked you to come to this board saying, hey, I sat down with such and such zoning inspector in such and such town. I've seen this Zone Pro. Boy, it would really work with us. This is how I could organize Ellsworth and really educate us about this. It seems as though it's like this blind leading the blind. Nobody knows what system we're buying, what kind of processing speed we have, what our end goal is with using Zone Pro, and what it requires to have in a system. It just seems like there's no direction, and you know. And then furthermore, we're not only going to need the Zone Pro software, we need our Office software. Where is that coming from? You know.
Well, I understand what you're saying
It
about
was very rushed. We didn't have a real good discussion on it last meeting. I was under the impression that you had something spec'd out. It was going to be in the office because we made a $1,500 appropriation for that, which is way overkill. So, getting back to square one, I did contact Dell as a government entity. I believe that it would be the same program that the county would buy through. If you're talking about a government county buy,
Yes.
state cooperative, we fall under that as a township. So I don't understand why the county would have to buy it for us, unless there's a loophole there where, you know, it makes sense to do that. But we were treated, when I talked to Dell, as a government entity under that pricing.
If I could, through the chair, I didn't mean to say we were buying it through Mahoning County, because Mahoning County has a lockdown price on a government contract. We would qualify for that also. Because Mahoning County, we're already paying someone in Mahoning County as an IT director. He's offered to do all that work for us.
So the IT director of Mahoning County is offered to spec us out a computer?
Correct.
Okay. And...
If I could, through the chairman, this is the same IT director that I talked about a year ago.
Right,
About buying the
had all
surplus
the
one
old
and a used one.
computers
The
coming in.
same guy.
Okay,
Same guy.
so the question is, the purchasing price on this computer, you just said something, it's set or it's established versus their big buys? I mean, are they buying like 100 computers this year or something? Or?
Well, through the Department of Job, through the chair, through the Department of Job Family Services, they buy 400 or 500 at a time. We would qualify for that because we're a township in Mahoning County.
Right.
I'm not trying to say they're treating us any special or anything different, but they have a lot of high-tech knowledge that is in this area. And again, I don't. I'll be the first to admit that.
But you got to give them some kind of idea what we need.
I was able to send down the specifications that my wife's IT director gave me.
Okay,
I
what
actually dropped
are
it
they?
off.
I mean, at least bring that to the meeting so we can
Well,
digest
you know
that.
what, through the chair, I'll have that for you at the next meeting. I do not have that with me tonight. And obviously, we're not going to be in a rush to do this?
Well, it seems like last meeting we were, because I said, whoa, wait a second, this is premature, I'd like to research this, like to go back to where we left off and go down that road, but you pushed it through, you allotted $1,500 to do it, and that's quite the Cadillac of computers if you're going to spend that much money. But so that's why I'm saying, I'd like to know what you're buying. What did you spec out? Can we agree as a board that that's going to be sufficient for you?
Well, wait a minute. And let somebody else talk here a second. And just understand what you're talking about, the twists and turns here, the dialogue here tonight. I didn't think about the commission wanting to use the same computer. Then we would require multiple log-ons. We'd have to have security that each person be assigned to log on. If we went back and what we talked about computers last year, I said it would be reckless not to have a computer use policy in place that we have so that we don't have misconduct on it, and whether it be one extreme to another. And I think, a lot of those things need to be added to this too, in part of this discussion. And as you go, you'll have more ideas come up and more thoughts come up on this. So,
But I think also our needs are a little bit different. I mean, I think, I'm using my personal laptop. We use it for our company. I don't want to, in any case, it's a liability for me. It's a liability for you, Kurt. You're using your computer as well. If we ever got into litigation and they confiscated our computer, we're looking through them, those are our personal machines that are going to get taken. And I just feel as though we ought to take a look at more of a broad, laptops, we don't need a whole lot, especially as trustees. We need email machines and somewhere to save some documents and stuff like that. So we need bare bones, and they're not that expensive.
Okay, a bare bones laptop, what kind of money are we getting into?
Well, and also, another thing we have to think about, and this is one of the great things, talking directly to Dell, they will set up a server for us. And they a lot of information here. They come in, and they also, with their machines, with their buys, they load the software, the antivirus. They provide a 1-800 number for tech support. And okay, so back to the laptops here. But a lot of things to think about.
Okay, what's the intent of this?
For about $400, cracked over $400, gets you a Dell laptop with 2 gigabytes of RAM, a Intel Celeron processor, which we could upgrade that to the Core 2, but it's okay too. And a 250 gigabyte hard drive. So pretty good machine, and the good thing is that he explained to me is with buying it as a government entity, that line has more scalability to it. So if we needed to add more RAM or more memory, we can do that easier than if we were to buy it as a consumer or whatever. So if we needed more, processing speed, that sort of thing, we would be able to plug that into the motherboard. But just crack over $400 buys us a laptop. If we had 2, 3, 4, 5 won't cost $2,000. I mean.
Okay, what the intent of this motion was is our zoning office doesn't have a computer. We need to get on GIS. We need to, print property lines. We need to look at certain things. That was the intent to, I want to get a computer in that zoning office to get us up.
But we made a motion. Here's the problem with the thought process. We made a motion for $1,500. Nobody knew what we were even buying. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It's sort of like, I feel like you rushed it through just to do it, to make it look like it's getting done. But in reality, we've got the underneath, the foundation of it hasn't been really looked at or taken in consideration. We've got to look at it as a township. Well, I know the zoning office needs it. I think the trustees need it. The zoning commission, they had their whole rewrite of the zoning ordinances on a laptop. It was a personal laptop. So, yeah, we need to look at this, but I don't think we're looking at one machine. I think we're looking at more than one. I think it's a lot more discussion. I've done some work here with Dell and some pricing and priced it a few different ways. Also, the ability to back up our emails. That requires a server, okay? And we got to back up our server because you're going to have a
How much would it
place
cost
for that.
us to establish a central server then?
This is without the labor to actually, do it, which shouldn't be too much. He was estimating $300 to $500, but server price was $3,500. And I'm not saying to do this right now, okay? I'm just saying the thinking has to be there, because when you have those requests for the documents, the emails, that sort of thing, we can back them up that way. Anyway, so the server costs, he's got $3,500. The zoning computer, because of Lorelai's email, she was thinking a desktop. So I said, well, I think she was talking about going through a small business purchasing program. So basically, when I talked to Dell, I just said, well, hey, let's look at going through the government purchasing program. And it's just basically a crack over $500 gets you a pretty decent machine to get started with. And again, the scalability is there. If we need to look at multiple drives and find out we don't have enough RAM.
Well, what we were trying to lead Rick into, we need a computer and we need, a printer, because it needs to print out documents for people. And we'd like to get that rolling.
Well, maybe Mahoning County can help us, but I wouldn't just say, hey, we just need one. Let's ask them.
Because, I do about half a dozen emails a month. I don't have a problem using my own equipment for that. I think it'd be, the way computers are outdated so fast, I don't think the expenditure of buying all of us computers at this time.
Well, maybe not, but it's open for discussion. Instead of just making $1,500, it'll buy us like it'll buy us 3 laptops. Maybe we do get just one for the trustees, because when we run presentations and that kind of thing, it's
And I think
it'll be
before we
utilized.
do that, cross that threshold, I think we're going to talk about security, scrutiny, and computer use policy.
But I guess the message, my message is this. Let's have a spec'd out, whatever your wife has, can you let us know what that is so that we can also double check? And because what I spec'd out, I sent to the Zone Pro software guy, and said, yeah, that's going to work. And then there's two versions of Zone Pro too that you can buy. What are we looking to use? What are you looking to use, Rick?
Through the chair to Trustee Lewis, there's not only one application that they use. In Mahoning County, I think there's 2 separate applications that they use, separate zoning offices for the software. And that's a licensed software also?
Yes,
We'd have
it
to pay the license fee every...
Right. What do you mean 2 applications? What are you talking about?
There's one company that does one application. There's another company that does another. There's also another one...
What's the difference? What do you mean?
But it's probably like buying a Lincoln Continental versus a Cadillac Seville or whatever.
Right, okay.
It's pretty much the same thing.
They're both called Zone Pro?
No,
it should be just one Zone Pro.
No, the other one is more for planning use, planning and zoning combined. One is more for just zoning. I was able to do a little bit of that research. But through the chair, I will gladly get you
Yeah,
the serial numbers, VIN number, whatever.
Let's look at what was spec'd out.
At our next meeting, could you, get back with us on it, and we'll move on?
It's true.
Okay. Move on to the fire chief report. Thank you, Rick.
Since last month, we responded to 2 structure fires, 1 service call, 1 rescue, 3 motor vehicle crashes, and 10 emergency medical calls were received. Mutually one time from Berlin, Greenford, on the same call, and given mutual aid to Deerfield. We've had 6 civilian injured since our last meeting. Cleaning maintenance runs, fire prevention drills. We have 592 firefighter hours for the month. Okay. Item number 1. I guess let me start off from the ISO update first. Myself, Assistant Fire Chief Blosser, and Lieutenant Igo met with Tim Roush, who is a fire chief from Highlandtown, He's the one that he puts on he lowered his ISO rating in his community. He taught Greenford what they needed to know for lowering their ISO rating. So, we felt why reinvent the wheel. We set up a meeting with him and went down to Columbia County EMS and met with him last Friday. And we kind of, we wanted to, I wanted to show them where we were at as far as what we've done so far, and see, okay, what do we need to do? Where do we need to go from here, from where we're at? So we're all, on the same page, and we know we're doing this. All our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted when we go to lower our ISO rating for our community. Basically, he, gave us a checklist. And what I did is I divvied up with our officers, divvied up jobs that each officer is responsible for to get some of these tasks completed. So we may come around, just to let everybody know, we may come around if you have a lake or pond, if it's accessible to fire apparatus, we may have to look at if it's accessible to fire apparatus, and B, whether we have a dry hydrant there or not. Okay, they want a list of, ISO requires a list of all the lakes. Okay, if they're accessible. If they're not accessible, then we don't have to put them on that list. They have to be mapped out in detail, length from the roadway, and the length, width, depth of each pond, and just make sure they're accessible 365 days a year. That's one of the requirements. The list of equipment which we have.
You can count like Meander Creek where you threw lines over before and
If
grabbed it from.
it's accessible 365, but in a dry season where it may be down, then that may not count. But in parts of Meander, then yes.
I know that's difficult. We have a lot of tributaries, and I just go
Absolutely,
But
yes.
still the count.
Yes. But like I said, so each of us are required to do certain things. And what we're doing is, we're going to do a little bit more than ISO requires. They require a book with all the lakes and accessibility, that kind of stuff, to hand to them when they come up here. And what we're going to do is we're going to put everything in the book. I sent out a survey to all our mutual aid companies for tanker size, fill time, dump time, pumpers available, things like that. We've been getting them back, so we were pretty successful getting those back. I submitted the paperwork. I submitted a request. First thing we have to do, submit a request for a batch report and a improvement list. And I'm just waiting to hear back from them. So I submitted that paperwork last week. And with the batch report, what they do is ISO will come out and survey Ellsworth Township, and they look at the water flow, and they give you five numbers. The fifth is the worst. Okay, they pick a location in your community that you have to flow X amount of gallons per minute. Like, for example, Gibson Road, we may have to flow 500 gallons a minute on Gibson Road, but in the center of town we may have to flow 200 gallons a minute because of proximity to lakes, things like that. So what we do is we pick the worst one. He said pick the highest number, and that's what you want to shoot for when we flow water. We've already been working on flowing water. We've all tanker movements. We have water shuttles set up all this month, and so like I said, we're just waiting to hear back from ISO and see what they have to say. So, but I guess the wheels are in motion for lowering that. The good thing is I found out, and just I guess by luck, that we're at the exact same spot as far as water movement, as far as lowering our ISO as Canfield is. So we're at the exact same, we're neck and neck of where we need to be with Canfield. And I got a call from North Jackson yesterday. they want to do this as well. So I said, well, now might be a good, a good time to get involved with this, the lowering our ISO for Jackson Township, because if Canfield, Ellsworth, and Jackson can do it at the same time, it may be beneficial to all three communities at once. So, we get one visit and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where we're at. So to go along with that, we need to, the 1995 engine 47 needs some pump work. What it's doing, it's a, the pump's been used, okay? We do pump tests on them, but it's got a leaky manifold, and I reported this last year, and we did temporarily fix it, but now it's, they used it the other night. Right now it's, it's starting to drop pressure so we need that looked at. And we do get points for reserve pumpers. So that's something that's going to have to be addressed. So we need to get that pump addressed. Talked to Battalion Chief Powell, and he's in charge of our maintenance. He's going to try to narrow it down as far as, so we don't get somebody out here and just tear apart the pump and say, oh, it was some easy fix. He's going to try to narrow it down and see if he can figure out what might be repaired on that as far as the intake goes. We know what we have to do to fix the the outlet, but like I said, we need that addressed for that pump. Okay? If we need it next week, something happens to that pump and we're in the middle, because, in the middle of using it and something happens to it, then we're in trouble. Like to go ahead and schedule the ladder and pump testing. It's an annual test that we do as part of our maintenance program. Again, ISO will get all those records from us. We've done our ladder test, we've been doing our pump test, and that's a requirement for ISO, okay, as well. I need to, purchase 100 calendars for kids for fire prevention. What they are, coloring calendars, they're $1 a piece. We pass them out gave them out this Saturday for the 60th celebration. We go to community night, we pass them out. When we do home inspections, we pass them out to the kids. When we do fire prevention programs up here for 4-H and Cub Scouts and Girl Scouts, things like that, we pass them out then too. So our supplies have been dwindling because we pass so many things out. We get coloring books and pencils and pens and rulers and that kind of thing. Our supplies are dwindling, so I'd like to get those. One fire helmet for Brian O'Neill. And I put before you applications for 2 probationary members. One, Jennifer, is an EMT, and she wants to help us out on the ambulance and run as an EMT on the ambulance. The second one, Christopher Brocious, it's a unique situation with Chris. He doesn't want to be a firefighter. What he is, he's a member who lives he's a person who lives in the community, and he's a photographer, and that's what he wants to do. He said, he'd like to just take pictures when we, he'll put our fair boards together. He'll basically, when we, he won't get a page or anything. He'll get on the phone alert, but he won't have a radio or anything like that, or fire equipment, whatever. But I just wanted to, he maybe, help when we do investigation of scenes, or like I said, when we put the fire boards together. Usually we try to take pictures, things like that, but a lot of times we're so busy doing other things that that's the last thing on our mind. So he's willing to come and do it. So I think it'd be a benefit. And
Would he be a volunteer fireman?
just a volunteer.
But would he go on workers' comp and things like that?
Well, he'd have to be, the reason I have him fill out an application is just so he's covered in case of if he trips over a fire hose or falls on the scene or whatever.
I mean,
Well, I have a question about the chief. Then we want to put him through some training. I mean,
Right.
we don't,
Well, okay.
And I think the safety training and I think that we would only become, you would know about how comfortable you are with the minimum that you give them.
Right.
And if I'm just telling you that's making enough, then
Absolutely.
I don't have any
And, you know,
objection
to go along with that, we get a lot of help from Crime Watch with blocking roadways and directing traffic for us when, the sheriff may not, may be so busy to not be available, things like that. So, he will be involved with that. So when we do a safety thing, when we want to teach Crime Watch and when we set up a landing zone, where it's safe to put your vehicles. When we have a fire, where we would like you to be, staged, things like that. So he'll have to learn about incident command, things like that. So as far as, he'll have to report to incident command before he does anything. He just can't show up and start taking pictures. I've already discussed with him. I said, look, I don't mind, if you're taking pictures for the department, but A, I would like to review all photographs that you take. And B, if there's a fatality, things like that, we don't want pictures of that.
And you guys are governed by HEPA and things like that.
We are, that's right.
You wouldn't be doing things
Right.
like that.
Again, I don't mind, if we're on a fire, you have firefighters on the end of a hose, or or climbing ladders, or coming up here for drills, and when we do rappelling or water movement or things
Community
like that.
night.
Right, exactly. So I don't mind things like that. It's, I'll set some guidelines for him. I've never,
How about we document some training, though?
Absolutely.
If we're talking about workers' comp, we're talking about,
Sure.
Our insurance here.
Sure.
I think you agree, anybody up here agree that we need some documentation of some safety training.
Absolutely. I agree. Item number 6, we had a motor vehicle crash, another one at Leffingwell on 45. And I'd, just like to voice my displeasure with the work done down there. We have, since that road's been fixed, supposedly, we've had one fatality, and we've had a crash just yesterday, day before? Monday, involving 6 people. Okay? So all 6 were transported. It's hard to see over that hill. I know it's a state, it's a state right of way, but if there could be a letter drafted or something, or some contacts made through the township officials to the state to at least get a flashing light or a traffic light or something up there, because the problem hasn't been solved.
Well, you know how the battle was on Palmyra.
Absolutely, and yes,
A lot of letters on that.
right. When
Laura stepped up last and wondered what her name.
Well, I got a letter back because I wrote a letter after the fatality to Joseph DeFuria. He's an ODOT District 4 traffic engineer. And just today in the mail, he responded to my request for a light there. And it says, in response to your inquiry, we reassessed the traffic control for the subject intersection. This reassessment included a site visit and an investigation of any crashes that we have record of occurring after the improvement period. The site visits verified that all necessary signing is in place. However, we did increase the size of the right side stop signs to both the eastbound and westbound directions. Additionally, our crash records research did not find any other crashes other than the fatality which you mentioned. There is a lag between a crash occurring and the availability of data, so it is possible other crashes have occurred which we do not have record of it at this time. In regards to the fatal crash, the crash report indicates that the westbound vehicle entered the intersection without stopping, and thus the cross-corner sight distance at the intersection did not play a role in that crash. We will continue to monitor the crash patterns at the intersection to determine if any additional changes are warranted in the future.
In 2000, the accidents there I think if you look back at our records, maybe Captain O'Neill would verify this, but I think our number of motor vehicle crashes at that intersection has slowed way down since they've police put that flashing light there. And I think Leffingwell and 45 is much worse than Palmyra and 45.
Yeah, well, I mean, I could follow up with this and write another letter.
Thank you.
Okay, could we, maybe you can talk with Bob, and maybe we can list the number of accidents and how severe they were, to bring the state up to date. Since we've had the...
Include more data is what you're asking, right?
We can look back. We can probably look back since total since
Since the reconstruction.
Since the reconstruction. We should be able to get some data on the number of crashes there since, that were reported.
2, right?
Well,
Since
2 for sure.
Right.
We may, I was going to say there's been a few more. But the fatality was the one,
Right.
so.
Good, Mark, please.
Mr. Chairman, since that accident on Monday, I went into the database of the Ohio State Highway Patrol. You can get the data up to an annual data, and through 2011 through 2 months back. They reported by the type of intersection. I can't get down to 46 and Leffingwell unless I have the crash report data number from the State Highway Patrol. For 2010, at 4-way intersections, they reported exactly 2 crashes of severity, one with injury and one with property damage. In 2009, we had a total of 5 just injuries and property damage. The highest I found as I went back was in 2006 when there were 9. So unless you have specifics for that particular intersection, these were all the intersections in Ellsworth that were 4 ways. I think we're going to have to get some other form of information because the data they're showing, 4s, 5s, 6s, is not going to be adequate in quantity to verify what we are seeing as the citizens here. When on March 1st we had a fatality and that intersection had just opened a few weeks before maybe, and now again Monday, 6 persons involved. And if you travel 45, you will see skid marks, black skid marks, rather frequently. So I did run this data out of Ohio State Highway Patrol, and that comes under the Department of Public Safety. I couldn't find anything meaningful under ODOT's, but maybe I didn't look far enough.
I would just think that if we requested it from ODOT, as an open records request to that government office, they've got to tell us that specific intersection in the yearly, right?
If they have it.
Yeah. Well, they...
Databases have a cutoff point often, and I don't know what theirs is, but that was as far as I could get.
Okay.
And I understand where there's government works with right hand, left hand, and they don't know what they're doing. Each one is doing.
Thank you, Margaret.
Ask for the data.
And then our 60th year celebration was Saturday, and I'd like to thank Fire Corps for putting that event on. It was a very nice event for those attended, and it was great accolades for Ellsworth Township and the firefighters, current and former. Just like I said, offering a thank you and recognizing all the past chiefs since 1951, and with certificates and being recognized from the county and federal government was, like I said, was a very, very humbling experience. So for Ellsworth Township, so the Fire Corps did a fantastic job of putting this together for us.
Good job.
Is that the
Bob's checking his telephone there. Everybody's heard about the ISO ratings, and we've talked a lot about that. But, down in Greenford, they've got their ISO rating very under control, and it saves the residents of Greenford about $200 a year on their fire insurance. So that's what Bob's working on their fire home insurance. That's what Bob's working hard towards, and I want to compliment them. And the Fire Corps, everybody that came had a good time at that celebration. It was very well done.
Sorry, guys, I worked.
Kurt, I just wanted to add one thing here. On that ISO rating, generally when that drops one notch, it saves you between 20 and 25% on your homeowner's insurance. So if you're really curious, when you get home tonight, look on your home payment if you have one, or your homeowner's insurance, and knock 20 to 25% off of that if they can get that done. And then look at your property taxes, because of all the taxes you pay, correct me if I'm wrong, Margaret, 6.4% goes to Ellsworth.
Yeah.
So if you figure it out, we get that ISO rating dropped one notch, you're basically covering what you pay Ellsworth in your property tax.
Yeah.
Pretty close for most people, which is significant in my book.
Okay. Do you have any more, Bob?
No, sir. Other than our special meeting.
Yeah, I wanted to just hit that real quick. Bob had asked us for a training budget as far as for the EMS paramedic training. And I know that I've given it some thought, and I wanted to ask Nip for a report of the general fund expenditures in 2010 up until this point. I want to just compare spending from last year to spending from this year. If you would run those two reports, 10 and 11.
You mean the general fund you want run?
Yeah, general fund. It would be a training program based out of the general fund.
We never paid for any training out of general fund.
I'm asking to compare the 2010 spending to this point. Actually, I probably don't. I think I might have the information. But if you would run to date for 2011, the spending of the general fund expenditures to this point.
Sure.
It'd be the ledger, or I'm trying to think of what report that is.
I'll put it
Fund
in your
ledger.
I'll put it in your mailbox.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments on the fire?
Well, I wanted to kind of open it up for discussion. I didn't know if you'd given it any thought, or where are you as regards to what he presented?
Okay, at the presentation, we talked with Bob, and he stressed about the training, and we asked the department to get back with us.
Right.
What their plan was, and what cost, a budget for it, and we're going to have another meeting.
Yeah.
We don't have to go
And
all that.
we also asked for short-term, mid-term, long-term goals. We asked for what your needs were compared to your wants. There's some things that you guys are going to put together.
And rather than go through all that tonight, we're going to have another special meeting when Bob's ready for us. So, is there any other comments?
Okay. Just making sure we kind of keep it on the agenda and hit that as we go, and we're keeping everything up to date. That's all.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the $100 for the coloring books and the $247 for the helmet, the total of $347. I need a second on that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we'll go through a vote. The expenditures of accepting Bob's report and spending $347 for the equipment. Laura?
Yes.
Artie?
Yes.
Kurt, yes. So,
We make a motion on these probationary firefighters, and if they complete your requirements, then I think we need to make a motion to accept those as a probationary.
We would have done that in accepting his report because he has it on the accepting 2 probationary members of the Ellsworth Fire Department.
Okay, we can
I think
mention it
that's-
in 2 different names. We have Jennifer McCullough and Christopher Brocious, thank you. And those are part of the report, and we've accepted them with your report. So, on a probationary.
That's part of this first motion then?
Yeah.
2 probation, okay.
Okay, and with that, we'll move on to the EMS report. I don't see Ken here. Brian, are you here to do that?
Oh, yeah. Touch base on it real quick. As far as the EMS end goes, it is going well. We had the 10 medical calls. We had 7 patient transports since the last meeting. That is in billing. Spoke with Nick on that to see where we are with funds coming in, going out with the insurance companies and that.
How's those funds working?
That we're getting, because they're set up on direct deposit also.
Yeah.
So we have her written out monthly statements to us. We have received some checks back, and we're still waiting on some. I mean,
It's a slow process.
Yes.
I understand.
I believe of those 7 patient transports we took, we had medic for four of ours, and we used lanes 3 times for medic backup.
The billing company, Quest,
Yes.
are they doing a satisfactory job as far as your opinion
Yeah,
is? They're working with us?
Yes.
Good?
They have a grasp on, what we want to accomplish and what we want to do, and they give input back to us for suggestions. And
That's good.
so it's been going well with them.
Okay.
So you don't have any idea ballpark on how many bills we actually did collect or where we're at as far as?
No, Ken had just asked Nick for the report,
Oh.
and I'm going to compare it to Quest. I'm set up with Quest on a weekly basis for us turning in submittals for them for billing and receiving. So just compare them and see where we're at and what we need to do. So,
On your phone, right?
I just didn't stop to speak with someone face to face.
Is that the end of your report? Thank you. Do you have any questions from the board?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for the report, Brian. Brian, watch Karen Whitty.
We drove 720 miles last month, and that was due to school being dismissed, graduation, and 4th of July. And we also participated in the mock disaster with the fire department. We have 4 members out directing traffic, doing traffic control.
Okay. With this summer here and the hot weather and that, how's crime doing?
It's dropping again.
It is? Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. The sheriffs are doing a good job. And
Yes, I see them frequently.
do you see any needs that the trustees need to do to help the sheriffs?
No, but I think if something comes up, they'll sure let us know.
You'll let us know. Thank you. Are there any questions from the board for Karen Grady?
No.
Okay.
Good job.
Thank you, Karen. Unfinished business, I have on the agenda road repair, but Laura brought that up under the maintenance, so Artie's going to look into that. And then also under unfinished business, we have letters from ODOT and concerning Leffenwell and 45, and Laura's got her finger on that, and we probably, will address that and try and get some data in there and send them another letter. Under new business, we talked a little bit about the signs already with the maintenance report. Already been working on some other things here with signs.
Well, I knew that this signage thing was a requirement of us to have a plan. It seemed that Kurt got that in place, but there's been requests in the Township, and Green Team used to supply signs like for no littering. I think they didn't have any the last time I asked. This time I asked, they didn't have any, and they didn't know if they would have any in the spring. There's a couple population areas where the residents made that request. There's even one of the sportsman clubs that thought it was a good idea that if we can help out, and the Green Team also said that if we felt that we need no littering signs, that we purchase a couple of those while we're on this signage thing, and Kurt did his inventory. I did get some prices for those. And it's maybe for discussion whether we want to go ahead and spend this kind of money.
Okay, how many littering signs do you think we
Okay, good.
need to put up?
Well, the sign was saying I wanted to have a little more teeth. If it said no littering, $500 fine. This section of the high-rise revised code that I could let you guys see the high revised code on that. But
Where would you put them?
the West Hill area, Burn Station Road,
Yeah, you guys.
and those are that would cover Rolling Hills and Shadowwood over in there. Those areas we talked. That's where the two residents made a request. We have to pull the trigger on spending our money to do it. If not, we have to wait till next spring and see if there's an income.
So the county buy, if you were
County
talking about the
doesn't
rest
do
of
it.
the,
The county doesn't do that.
they
Green
don't
team.
do the no littering signs?
No, they defer that to the green team, meaning it's in their
Okay. What's the sign cost?
their area. The signs go for $22.80 each, and they are the current, and they're the larger 18 by 24, which I would suggest.
Okay, do we have an inventory of posts to put them on, or what the
Well, that's what Kurt was checking on me. We didn't discuss it tonight.
Yeah,
Those
we have
would
some
be-
old posts down there, I know, but if we're gonna put up a new sign, maybe I'll look at it. But the $500 fine, that would be covered by the sheriff's department, and it's according to the high revised code, so the chief would have some backing.
It would wind up in our court, probably Sebring, and they would certainly hope some of it would get back to the sheriff's department.
Do you want to make a motion?
Well, we have to talk about the numbers of them. I would certainly think that we need,
Do you want to suggest did you drive and suggest like strategically where to put them and how many, or do you want to do that, or?
And then we've had problems before with trying to put legal signs in people's front yards where they don't want it. So we'd have to check with the homeowners also.
well, it's our right of way.
It's the right way.
Yeah, it is, but to be a good neighbor and a good representative, we should check with the people where we're putting these signs.
I think what brought this on everybody is that the graduation parties tend to happen this time of the year, and people walk to their cars, and when you live in an area like that, densities that people have done some things, and we have a festival comes up in September, and certainly those club members would want to see that. They think that's a good idea. They don't want to be blamed for it, So I was thinking, Laura, I was thinking like 6 signs that we can do entering the area, at the end of the area.
If we start with 6 and we,
Yeah.
everything else we can.
Yep.
See,
Buying with buying more than 5 or something, or buying
I don't think
500. I don't think so.
we'd have to buy about
100 or something, right?
Yeah. With that motion, as long as we check with the homeowners that we're going to install these in their right of way, before we put them up.
It's fine.
It is, but the courteous thing to do is ask them if they wouldn't mind us putting.
Well, let me
because
find
they
it. Hopefully somebody complained about it. That's a good spot for it.
Okay. You want to make a motion to buy 6?
Well, I think if we're in agreement, that price now, the second company did not call me back on 2 calls about a price coming back. This company is very competitive. It's a company we've done a lot of business with over the
We're
years.
down on 14?
Yeah.
Excuse me, before you make that motion, I'd like to request one for Lefty Well Road. Everybody coming in from the lake seems to think that they could deposit all the trash before they
Well, they're done with that beverage of choice by the time they get to the lake and Lefty. Well, I got you.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't
Well, I
really
think maybe we need 8.
Should we go and go ask the people and actually pick an amount out before we do this thing?
Well, let's get 8 and start.
Okay.
Or do you want to propose a motion?
I'll make a motion that we make a purchase of the 8 signs at $22.80 each for the purpose of putting out no littering signs in the township.
I'll second that motion. Vote on Laura?
Yes.
Artie?
Yes.
Kurt? Yes. Okay. Any other questions on signs? Okay, we're going to move on. We have the zoning commission. We had somebody resign on the zoning commission. So we'll be looking for somebody to put on the zoning commission. I think what we need to talk a little bit about are what are the requirements, what are we looking for somebody to fill that position.
What are those to be a trustee? 18 and live in the township and have the desire to do so, right?
Yeah,
So I think anybody that's interested lives here and has the desire to do so.
yeah. We'll get pass the word out that we'll be accepting.
Well, I just had one thought here because we did advertise it, I forget when, but a year ago, I think, and we had 2 people send us their letters and resume from, I don't know if we want to pull from those 2 people first since they're with us, and it was Tim McKenzie.
2 were very outstanding.
Yeah, and we had Ron Nimick.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I say his name right, but he was a previous school superintendent up around the Cleveland area, and I mean, I don't know, I mean...
Do we still have those resumes on file?
I think I have them.
I can make this, I think you have.
I think I have the zoning, yeah, I got the value of the interviews and stuff we did.
Okay.
So we could start with them, and if they're not interested, then we could go since, I don't know, I just first come, first served kind of.
Well, I think we ought to put it up to everybody, and anybody that's
fine, too.
interested
That's fine, too.
in the zoning commission position to get us an application, and we'll go from
We'll put it on the sign, and then make sure we'll put the people that have already given us those letters, put them in the file, and we take a look at that.
Yeah, okay.
I would still like to see a process of talking to the people. Ask certain questions, are they a good example of zoning? Can they work with the people they willing to learn? I mean, and that's what I think. And I think that we need to have dialogue with each of those prospective candidates. So.
Any other questions on the zoning commission position? Okay.
Do you want to put a cutoff date for applications or resumes are expected to be in by September 1st? Or
I think letters of interest, I don't think we need a resume for that position.
Yeah.
A resume or a letter of interest, I mean, I don't know. It makes
by what date?
You want to put September 1st on?
That's up to you.
Yeah, I think
That way we have them by September meeting to review
Yeah.
and look at.
that'd be good.
Are we putting an official notice in the indicator as well?
Do you want to?
I don't think we need, do you want one in the indicator? I think we'll put it on the marquee. And
Well, I think if we keep it in the section for government, it would be free to us. I'm not sure we need to,
Well, classified ads aren't free.
well, I know, I'm not sure we need to go to classified ad road, but
Well, where would you put it?
when we notify them of meetings,
Those are
is that only
agenda meetings.
only meetings?
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't let us post anything?
No, they don't give you anything free. If you're telling me I'll put it in the paper, I'll research what we did the last time and use that wording by September 1st. Okay?
Okay.
Well, what are we running it, 1 day or 2 days?
What do you tell me?
Well, yeah, we got to decide.
Let's run it 1 day.
I'm not sure it's even really anybody's going to see it. Thoughts?
How much more does it cost for 3 days?
Lots.
It's expensive. It's very expensive. Matter of fact, one of the things I was
$40 for a little
Yeah, I think
later.
that marquee's going to get us more.
that
than
marquee
anything.
gets us more than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the community roundup? When's it come out?
They don't publish it in the summer, I don't believe.
15th we would do, yeah.
They do?
All right, that's what we should do. That I think that circulation and
I could
sign.
include it in the,
More concentrated.
I could include it in
You
the
don't want an
article.
ad then?
Yeah, 'cause nobody's going to see it. They're not very few.
Okay. We good with that? We'll move on?
Good.
Okay,
Who's
there's,
putting it in the wrap-up? Hold on a second.
I will, and
Are you-
in my article I'll put
Okay.
an asterisk by it.
Just making sure.
there's a zoning workshop in Jackson Township, I believe it's at the administrative building, July 20th at 7 p.m. It's put on by the Mahoning County Township Association. I would strongly urge all of the zoning commission and zoning Board of Appeals to attend that, and I plan on attending also. There is a $10 fee. I would like to make a motion that the township reimburse all our officers if they attend that meeting.
And Rick Dirksen also, please.
Yeah, and our zoning inspector also.
I'll second that.
Okay, Laura, second that. Is there any, you want to open it for discussion at all?
Who's Ottawa Township Association putting on? Are they bringing us?
They're bringing in a consultant, what I heard today.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think they're going to touch on the zoning plans too, so.
Here's the only catch to that in the discussion, that they want a head count for materials and is certainly to facilitate hosting that many people. They wanted a count from us. Patty Gibson needed it today, but I told her our meeting was tonight, and if we could, so when I break this meeting, I may call the people on the zoning boards.
Fred, we have a head of the Zoning Board of Appeals here tonight. Do you believe all your members will be present, even if a couple don't show up? Could you contact your members and ask them?
I can, yes.
Please. And we will reimburse them, for their payment of the $10 fee. So.
And if you could call me, Fred, 330. Okay, Chief. 330-360-4525.
And then we have also a representative for the commission here, Sandy Orr, Mrs. Jackie.
Yes.
Maybe we can, excuse me, make a couple telephone calls and get a head count, Artie, and then we'll get in with that.
Sandra, can you help me with that?
You know what, I don't have everyone's phone number, so I think that probably Fred has everyone's phone number. So I'm going to decline on that one.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
And I'm sure that Rick will want to go to that because he's talked about it and I want to attend, so. Did we vote on that motion?
I seconded, we didn't.
Yes. Okay, the vote, Laura?
Yes.
Artie?
Yeah.
Kurt, yes. Okay, and then concerning, in the last 2 days, we got a letter from Attorney Fenimore concerning a zoning issue that is very sensitive to both this board and the township. We have to take some action on it. At this time, it's quite a private issue. I
Do you want
shouldn't
me
call
to
it private.
recuse myself? Is there some decision that needs to be made tonight?
Well, the letter made, he's asked us for, has a recommendation and a suggestion that we take the actions that we're obligated to address these zoning regulations that we have in the complaints. This complaint's been going on a long, long time. It's a negotiated suggestion that we do with, and I think we do need to take further action.
Okay, I really haven't had a lot of time to look at that thing since, when did you get that letter, Nick?
Yesterday.
I hate to do this, but I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session for reading of the letter from Attorney Fenimore because it is client attorney privilege. I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session as of Ohio Revised Code 121.22, paragraph G, section 1. Do I have a second on that?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, there's other sensitive things here. Since it does concern one of the trustees, one of the trustees.
I have to recuse myself if you're talking about our specific situation.
Yes, we are.
All right, then I recuse myself from any discussions. I'll be waiting out here with the rest of the audience to find your decision.
We have a second to that motion, please.
Yeah, Artie had a second. And then we're going to have a vote, Artie?
Yes.
And Kurt, yes. There'll be a slight intermission. We want to read this letter that we haven't had time to look at yet. And we'll be back shortly.
Excuse me, Kurt, may I excuse myself?
Yes.
Does anyone have any questions for me before I leave? Any questions?
Okay. I saved this for the end of our meeting. All we have is announcements
Yes.
left, and then for the good of the order.
Do I need to read that to you?
Take care, guys.
That's Brian. That's cables for the camera.
This is for you.
It just when I come down EMS, it goes to Brian. That's just we bought the cables. That's an invoice. Okay.
What's this stuff?
Okay. I make a motion from executive session to return to general session. Do I have a second?
Yeah.
I have a second. And roll call. Artie?
Yes.
Kurt, yes. I make the following motion of this board to the following action. Artie, will you please help me with this?
Okay. Due to the nature of this case of the Leiden Lewises, it is our action to hire or appoint a temporary independent zoning inspector to conduct an investigate and determination of the Leiden's complaints against the Lewises. These actions are necessary to do so because of potential conflict of interest, undue influences, biases, or appearances of improprieties created by the employment relationship of Mr. Durkin and the trustees of which Mrs. Lewis is a member. These actions are necessary to make a determination as to the Leiden's complaints in an expeditious manner. In conclusion, for matters for all involved. Also, these actions may require the inspector to hire this independent inspector at his or her hourly rate.
I'll second that motion. All right, I made the motion, so you have to second that.
I'll second it.
And we'll vote on that. Artie?
Yes.
Kurt? Yes. So what we have here is we've got a complaint that's very sensitive, and our own zoning inspector shouldn't be handling it. You know, like when Youngstown, when the commissioners got in trouble, they had a judge come in town last week. The judge was from out of town. And we're following those same steps of actions to avoid conflict is the matters at hand. So.
The complaint is on file. That is an open record. So anybody that is interested in knowing what that complaint is, you can pull it from the zoning office. And you can elaborate on that if you'd like. But the complaint is an open record, and it's in regards to running a business at your property.
Okay. Do we have any questions from the board on that action?
Because there's legal both directions, and this township's looking for this to be remediated, I don't think we should discuss anything further tonight.
Okay, thank you. We have really no other announcements other than the zoning workshop that will be at Jackson Township, done by the Mahoning County Trustees Association, July 20th at 7 p.m. There will be a cost of $10. And then our next meeting is August 10th, 2011, at 7 p.m. at the Fire Hall, unless you hear differently. We are making progress. And now we'll do for the good in the order. Fred.
The only thing I would say was I heard a discussion about putting in to the minutes your opinions and stuff like that. Of all of the years that I've been involved with school boards and been at trustees meetings, I've never heard of anything like that. All the years I was on the school board, if you voted no, you voted no. If somebody wanted to know why you voted, they'll ask you. You know, that I think that's a waste of time to start putting your opinions into the minutes.
Fred, it's not an opinion. And I'll go rebut this because it's not an opinion. It's an explanation of what your thought process was in voting no.
Well,
that
then you
should be
should
captured. It should be captured.
No, I disagree with you.
Well, I disagree with you.
Okay, thank you.
And we have the right to disagree.
Absolutely.
Mrs. Drummond?
I pass.
Mrs. Gritty?
On page 23 of the little yellow book, which Nick is supposed to be your liaison, a public body must keep full and accurate minutes. The minutes must state sufficient facts and information to permit the public to understand and appreciate the rationale behind the public body's decision. I didn't finish looking in the book, but there's somewhere else in here that it says your minutes should be such that when someone in the future looks at them and reads them, they understand why there's enough history there to understand why a decision was made.
By the individual or the body of the trustees?
Both. So if the decision was that somebody said no, or as tonight, Laura abstained from this last piece of information? Is it going to reflect that she abstained because she's party to this zoning complaint?
And did better, because otherwise...
Because otherwise it doesn't make sense. Why did she abstain?
No,
You need to-
legally, I have to abstain.
Legally, you have to,
So that-
and legally, it has to say in those minutes that that's what she's done. Now, I have another question. On this replacement in the zoning commission, you have an alternate. You're not moving the alternate
The
up?
alternate automatically moves in. We don't have to do that. The alternate,
Unless she
Phil-
chooses not to.
the alternate will serve as a board member until we make another appointment, and we have the choice at that time to elect another alternate or elect another board member. It is our choice.
Okay. So you're going to, once you do the interviews, make that decision? If
Yes.
it's going to be an alternate
But-
or a board member?
Yes, we can make that decision, but, it's been a customary that the person has paid their dues.
Yes, thank you. Okay.
Sandra?
Yes, I have a question about the computer for the zoning
Okay.
office. Isn't there companies that can come in and you tell them what you want and what you need, and then they give you the idea of what type of computer or what kind of system to buy?
Well, that's basically what Dell did.
Yeah.
When you contact Dell as a government entity, you tell them, hey, matter of fact, he actually even did the research in the Zone Pro software and contacted them for us. And the Dell representative found out what the specs were for Zone Pro. I did too, but he did it, and then he was able to build a system
doing this.
Right, but he-
They're experts at this.
Oh.
And I gave him a target dollar value that we wanted to stay between. He did all the rest. They loaded the software that we need. They gave us the antivirus package. They do the 1-800 support, tech support for us. Yeah, they got the limited warranty. And the whole, it really is they really support. It's not like buying it at Best Buy where you sort of have the severance of the relationship. It's actually, it would be a good thing.
But that, I think, was what Rick is doing through the county.
I think, but I don't know. All we did was say, here, Rick, go spend $1,500, and we don't know what kind of system
He's gonna come
He
back.
doesn't even know. It was premature, as I wanted to state in the minutes, but you won't let me. That's why I voted no for it.
He's going to come back to us.
Well, do you understand the frustration? It's like
Well, Laura, you don't get to hear my frustration, then I don't go off like this up here.
Well, no,
with you.
I'm saying-
And I don't have my opinion stomp
Yeah,
all over you.
no, it's okay.
Okay,
You got us, let's move on.
Jim, please.
I guess on the issue of the minutes, I think it opened up a can of worms, and you're going to have some pretty thick minutes if one person votes something and you get detailed reasons why. Then on balance, shouldn't you have the other side, whatever that vote is? And you start getting into that, it'll be some thick minutes and might even be boring reading. That's all.
Well, I just want to jump on what Jim said. If you want to give the reason why I voted no, then you better give the reasons why you voted yes and why you voted yes on every subject. I mean, it doesn't make sense. After the review of the situation, it's the vote, period. I mean, if somebody wants to enter in what they voted no for, why not have the yes votes tell why did you say yes?
Well, maybe there should be a few points added. This doesn't not just necessarily make it look.
We don't need to be here until midnight or something.
No, okay.
Minutes should be brief.
You're not done.
Okay, excuse me. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You're looking for someone for the zoning commission. I know there was no mention of the person being computer proficient. I mean, I've been attending zoning commission meetings for 5 years. And without somebody that's computer proficient, you're missing it. I think Laura said it in, we don't put the minutes online on the computer because the secretary doesn't know how to operate a computer. And it should be one of the key things you're looking for. And as far as, we got a website, why don't you put on the website that we're looking for?
We can do that, although we need to advertise the website.
Well, yeah, right.
We need to get it out there. We need to put it on the bottom of our marquee.
All that you're doing, and that's fine.
So we got one. We got to crawl before we walk before we run. I'm also looking into still getting a marquee at the town hall down there. I had the guy out measuring it. He's going to give us a quote, obviously, and I'll bring it to the board when we've got the design hammered out. But once we get that set up, that's my thought is you advertise your website right across the bottom of that sign. Already, I think, I'm not sure if I've seen it in the roundup the last time or two, but we ought to put it in the roundup and always visit us at.
How long has it been since we've updated that website? Last time I was looking, there's some really old information in there.
No, the meeting minutes have been updated. I think I've got to update about 3 months of minutes.
I don't want to...
I update the minutes every 2 to 3 months because it just, as we go along, then I put a group out there. That's all.
Okay.
What's the old information, Mr. Morrison, you're specifically
Well,
talking
last time I
about?
looked on there, it was like you say, 2 or 3 months old.
The minutes are there from all of last year, all up to this year until...
Last time I was on there,
April.
the officers had the wrong titles too.
I got to fix that, you're right.
That's true.
Okay. And the last about that computer, and I'm only going to start, this is where you got to start with it. You got to have a use policy. You've got to have those safeguards in place, and you've got to have established things and an understanding that all those people, and then I think it's got to have a multiple log-ons, they've got to have a signed log-on for people so we know their activities. A computer's a great thing, but it can be something that can give Township a black eye.
Other townships are dealing with it, I'm sure we can.
Larry?
Thanks for recognizing me before because my foresight proved right.
Okay.
Our zoning person is not here now for me to address them.
Yeah.
So,
And your question was very good. And I'm trying to get more in, but I don't want to have 3.5 hour meetings.
well, I understand that.
It's not fair to you.
Like I said,
Yeah.
he isn't here now. If I didn't ask that question at the time, he's not here to address it, and the public wouldn't have been aware of where we stand with these things.
It was a good question. Thank you, Larry.
And my next thought is about the minutes, that it isn't often that we have anybody abstain or go yes or no against the consensus. So how much more could it be involved in just briefly stating why somebody's voting yes or no in an objection, when the majority of times you guys vote yes on what you're doing?
Last month, Mr. Spellman voted no on the minutes.
Okay, but how long did it take? Well,
What do you mean by that?
If he specifically says why he voted no, how much wording would it take? Another line or two is what he's
Right,
saying.
that's my point.
If it is the consensus of the board and one votes against it, you're not with the majority of the board. I think you deserve a reason why.
And the board already voted no on other things, and I don't demand it the minutes. It was done. It was over. One of the vices I have.
Hold it. We're not demanding minutes. We just think that's right.
That's suggestion. We'll leave it at that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes. From the public.
Any more comments, Larry?
That's it for now.
Thank you. I don't know your first name.
Kathy and John Lawrence.
Thank you for coming.
We're just guests.
Okay. Do you have any comments?
Thanks.
Mr. Boyle?
Thanks.
We're done.
Tim?
I'm sorry. So, without further ado, we'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you all for coming.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Lord, in your love, you abundantly bless us to unite us with one another and with you. As you have made Stephen and Carrie one in the sacrament of marriage, so now make them one in love for each other. We ask this in Christ our Lord. Amen. Bow our heads and pray for God's blessing. May Almighty God, with his word of blessing, unite your hearts in the never-ending bond of pure love. May your children bring you happiness. May your generous love for them be returned to you many times over. May the peace of Christ live always in your hearts and in your home, that you may find happiness and satisfaction in your work, with daily problems never causing you undue anxiety, nor the desire for earthly possessions dominating your lives. May the Lord bless you with many happy years together, so that you may enjoy the rewards of a good life. And after you have served him loyally in his kingdom on earth, may he welcome you to his eternal kingdom in heaven. And may Almighty God bless you all, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And especially Mr. and Mrs. Stephen Brzezinski.